Hello. So I'm really excited today because I'm going to do a topic that I've never taught on before, but it's been coming up a lot. So I thought I'd better address it because I think it's really important. We're actually going to do two sessions. Um, in the first session, we're going to, I haven't told what the topic is yet. The topic is perfectionism. Okay. I believe this is a really important topic that affects us all, even if we think it doesn't. It affects some people more than others, actually, but we'll talk about that as we go. In the first session today, we're going to diagnose the problem. We're going to look at perfectionism. We're going to get all the dirty washing out, as it were, and have a look and not avoid this topic because I really believe this really inhibits creativity a lot. In the second next week's talk, we're going to talk about embracing imperfection, and that's going to be really good. But we have to deal with the problem first, don't we, before we get to the solution. So today we're really talking about the problem, and it might be a bit uncomfortable, but often change is uncomfortable, isn't it? And that's how we get breakthrough, is we face the problems head on and renew our minds, which the Bible calls repentance. So anyway, let's dive in a little bit. So um, perfectionism, what is it? Well, it's this idea that you've got to get everything right, you've got to get everything perfect. And it can be a real treadmill, and it can mean that you never finish anything because there's, oh, I've got to do that, I've got to get the next detail. There's a lot of disadvantages to having a perfectionist mindset. Now, I'm not talking about not wanting quality and beauty and that kind of thing. I'm not talking about that. That's an extreme, but I'm talking about an extreme of wanting to get right. And we're going to look at the roots of this because this could really stop you being productive as you should be, actually, or could be. Um, Jesus said, "Be you perfect as your Father is perfect." Now, he didn't mean you have to be perfect in the way that we normally read that. He meant be complete. In other words, be who you're called to be. A tree uh, is perfect because it it just and we're living in this world where there's so much comparison, isn't there? Of standards. We've talked about comparison before, and it's easy to feel this pressure that you've got to be something else other than you are. And the thing is, God's created you to be who you are. And it's embracing that. We're going to be talking about in the second section more. Embracing imperfection is part of embracing yourself, actually, and who you are and the gifts that God's given you. Um, so, we need to have some grace. And, right at the beginning, God said, when his creation, he said it was good. So God's not a perfectionist. He finished it and said, that's it. I'm done. It's good. So, and if you don't do that, you'll never be satisfied, and it'll take the joy out of all your creativity as well. But that's something we'll get into as we talk. And we don't want to be driven by perfection, do we? It's a treadmill. So anyway, certain cultures, certain personalities can tend to perfectionism. If you're a melancholic, we're going to be talking about this later when we get into the middle section of the 12-week program. Personality, if you're a melancholic personality, you're going to probably have more attention to detail. Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew, he's melancholic, and you can tell by the amount of detail. He starts his gospel with a genealogy. It's highly detailed and accurate. And we will talk about there's some areas where we do need to be accurate and not avoid accuracy. But in art and creativity, I'm going to suggest to you that we need to address this issue because it will really affect us. And, God's got grace for us. Sin is missing the mark, but God also, with that, provides the answer, which is his grace. And he says this Paul says this in 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9, says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." So that's really topic number 2 as well. It's as we embrace weakness or imperfection, that's where we find the grace. Yeah, and one of the symptoms actually of perfectionism, oh, this over sense of needing to get everything right, you'll find in um, certain cultures as well. Like Chinese culture, often there's a real drive, isn't it, to get everything right, and you see these kids are performing amazingly, but sometimes you wonder if it's all good. Um, and you know, perfection can lead to a sense of procrastination as well, because we kind of like put things off because we know we'll never get it right or never meet a standard, and whether it's others or our own, um, and that can really hold us back. I was watching a Netflix video recently on it's a really good one actually. I forgot the title, but it's about Elon Musk and the SpaceX program. Um, some really good insights there. And Elon Musk is an amazing man, amazing genius, and very creative as well. And one of the things he's embraced is failure and learning from mistakes. And he had three rockets. Well, he had enough money for three rockets, and all three failed. And he'd run out of money, but he somehow managed to get enough money for a fourth rocket, and the fourth rocket was a complete success. Now, what he embraced was the fact that every time he had a failure, and rockets do fail, don't they? They're quite good. You can't really build a rocket; it works first time. Um, it was when he embraced that failure, really, that every time they learned from their mistakes. And this is the thing: if you're not learning from your mistakes, then failure is bad. But if you're learning from your mistakes, that's good. And I will, so Elon Musk embraces this principle. When I was a driving instructor, you don't get any, you can't learn to drive without failure. You're going to fail. You're going to do something wrong at some point. So you've got to embrace it. We'll talk about that later, of course. But um, if you embrace failure, if you embrace and you learn from it, you will learn very quickly. Um, so, so you know, perfectionism can be kind of control as well. You want to control things a little bit, so it can come from a controlling mindset, even a religious controlling mindset, actually, where you know if things aren't perfectly in order, then you're getting freaked out, and it's this sense of out of control. And sometimes, as artists and creatives, we need to push ourselves to be stretched, and often the best thing that can happen to us is when we're stretched. So I had a piece of software that I've been using for 8 years, and it's been discontinued. And I was panicking a little bit and thinking, "Oh no!" So there was a solution upgrade and to another piece of software, and I did that. And it's amazing because that piece of software has released my creativity to the next level of exactly the way I wanted to go. But I've been holding back. But kind of that imperfection in my life, that kind of upset, resulted in more freedom and more ability to create. Here's some quotes I really like, actually. These are worth remembering. Beethoven said, "To play a wrong note is insignificant, but to play without passion is inexcusable." I don't know about you. I actually find it, I have a bit of performance anxiety when I'm performing classical pieces because we know what the notes are and people know what the notes are. And a lot of it's been recorded so perfectly, you feel kind of like you're conscious of mistakes rather than conscious of the music, conscious of the effect. And when I'm improvising, it's so much easier. You can tell me to improvise in front of 1,000 people, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. Um, it's completely different for me. But yeah, I just need to admit, perfectionism, for me is often that thing of failure in like when I've got something I can't, the notes on the page, etc. Leonardo da Vinci said, "Art is never finished, only abandoned." And that's true, isn't it? That relates, God said it was good. You need to have a final, and we'll talk about some solutions in the next time, but one of the solutions is to actually constrain your time and constrain your money. And often the most creativity is created within constraints anyway. And if we're perfectionists and we keep on you know, altering our stuff and never happy with, we're not coming to that point of finality where we say, it's good enough. Thank you. You know, it doesn't have to be 100%. It can be 98%, 97%. But you need to decide for yourself, what is that point of that is acceptable to you? Because I'm not advocating sloppiness. I'm not advocating just, do anything you like. Um, so I think that's enough to get us started. Actually, to be honest, we'll talk about solutions a little more next time. But just a fun analogy. I was thinking about this. I hate jigsaws. Some people love jigsaws, don't they? I hate them. I didn't see the point, and that's okay if you love jigsaws. I love you, but for me, what's the point of a picture breaking it up into tiny little bits and then putting it back together again? I don't see the point of that at all. For me, that's kind of pointless. But you know, a perfectionist probably wouldn't start with the edges, would they? They would start with the middle. That's my thought. But I think one of the things to do as well is with your creativity to apply is always start broad brush. Always start with the general picture of where you want to go, and then break it down into detail, because detail is important, as we'll talk about bit next time, I think. Let me just check I've covered everything I want to. Yeah, so we'll talk about that next time. So anyway, I think that's enough for today. So thanks for watching.